ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar my dear friends, this is video number 31 on Talks with Ramana Maharhshi. This video will start with talk number 436. Devotee puts a question. What is Viswarupa? Maharshi replies, it is to see the world as the self of God. In the Bhagavad Gita, God is said to be various things and beings and also the whole universe. How to realize it or see it so? Can one see one's self? Though not seen, can the self be denied? What is the truth? Devotee. Is it then wrong to say that some have seen it? Maharshi. It is true in the same degree as you are. The Gita begins saying that no one was born. In the 4th chapter it says, the numerous incarnations, yours and mine, have taken place. I know them, but you do not know. Of these two statements, which is the truth? The instruction is according to the listener's understanding. If the 2nd chapter contains the whole truth, why should so many more chapters follow it? In the Bible, God says, I am before Abraham. He does not say, I was, but I am. Talk 437. Maharshi. People have read of Vivekananda having asked Sri Ramakrishna, have you seen God and imitate him now? They also ask, have you realized God? I ask, what is realization? Realization implies perfection. When you are limited, your perception also is limited. Your knowledge is thus imperfect. Of what value is that imperfect knowledge? In Viswarupa Darshan, Arjuna is told to see whatever he desired and not what was presented before him. How can that darshan be real? 30th December 1937, talk number 438. A visitor asked for beginners like me, which is most suited, either worship of qualified God or contemplation of I am Brahma. Maharshi, the answer is contained in the question. The question itself shows it to be worship of qualified God. Devotee, I is felt in the waking and dream state, but not in deep sleep. Why so? Maharshi, if so, does it not exist in deep sleep? Devotee, because there are mental modes in these two states and no such mode in the other. Talks with Ramana Maharshi, Volume 3. Because this present book, what we are going through, is containing all the volumes. Anyway, talk number 3rd January 1938, talk number 439. Devotee puts a question. Rama asks, Brahma being pure, how can Maya arise from him and veil him also? Vasishtha replies, in pure mind, associated with strong dispassion, this question will not arise. Of course, in Advaita, non-dualistic philosophy, there can be no place for Jiva, Isvara and Maya. One self sinking into the self, the vasanas, tendencies will entirely disappear, leaving no room for such a question. Maharshi replies, the answers will be according to the capacity of the seeker. It is said in the second chapter of Gita that no one is born or dies, but in the fourth chapter, Sri Krishna says that numerous incarnations of his and of Arjuna had taken place, all known to him but not to Arjuna. Which of these statements is true? Both statements are true, but from different standpoints. Now a question is raised. How can Jiva rise up from the self? I must answer only know your real being, then you will not raise this question. Why should a man consider himself separate? How was he before being born, or how will he be after death? Why waste time in such discussions? What was your form in deep sleep? Why do you consider yourself as an individual? Devotee, my form remains subtle in deep sleep. Maharshi, as is the effect, so is the cause. As is the tree, so is its seed. The whole tree is contained in the seed, which later manifests as the tree. The expanded tree must have a substratum which we call Maya. As a matter of truth, there is neither seed nor tree, there is only being. Devotee, Vasanaksa, total end of all predispositions, Manonasa, annihilation of mind, Atma Sakshatkara, realization of the self. They seem to be interdependent. Maharshi replies, the different expressions have only one meaning. They differ according to the individual's stage of progress. Dispassion, realization, all mean the same thing. Also, they say practice and dispassion. Why practice? Because the modes of mind once subside and then rise up again, subside and rise up, and it goes on like that. Devotee, beginningless predisposition makes one do wrong. Without jnana, this predisposition cannot vanish. But jnana looks almost impossible. Expiation alone cannot undo all the karma. For how much expiation will be needed? Look where we will. Everything looks difficult, even impossible. Association with the wise seems to be the only cure of all ills. Maharshi, what is to be done? Reality is one only. How can it be realized? Realization is thus an illusion. Practice seems to be necessary. Who is to practice? Looking for the doer, the act, and the accessories disappear. Moreover, if realization is not present here and now, how can it, newly got, be of any use? What is permanent must be eternally present. Can it be newly got and be permanent also? Realize what is present here and now. The sages did so before and still do that only. Hence they say that it looks as if newly caught, once veiled by ignorance and later revealed. Reality looks as if newly realized, but it is not new. Devotee. Karma, bhakti, yoga, and jnana and their subdivisions only confuse the mind. To follow the elders' words seems to be the only right thing to do. What should I hold? Please tell me. I cannot sift the Shrutis and Smritis. They are too vast. So please advise me. No answer. Talk number 440. Devotee puts a question. Without logic, without learned terminology, please instruct me the way to the bliss of self. Let it be of Guru's grace only. Maharshi replies, have a clear idea of your requirement. Who seeks to gain what? Then ask the method. Devotee, bliss manifests occasionally, but I am unable to describe it. At times there is illumination, but is it the reality? If so, how to make it permanent? The method must be simple. Please make it clear without logic, learned discussions, or mystifying words. No answer. Another visitor asked, please tell me which is the most efficacious of all the methods. For example, prayer to God, Guru Anugraha, that is Master's grace, concentration of mind, etc. Maharshi. The one is the consequence of the other. Each of them leads to the next stage. The they form a continuous whole. God, Guru and the Self are not different. They are one and the same. Therefore, the methods offer no choice. Talk number 441. Mr. Pannalal, ICS, a high government official from Allahabad, with his wife, a highly cultured lady, and Mr. Brijnarayan, a retired judge, were on a visit for a week. The night previous to their departure, they wanted to have their doubt cleared. Their doubt was, we had a great sage of our Guru. We had a great sage for our Guru. He advised us to take the name of Hari, saying that it is all in all, no effort is necessary for concentrating the mind. Concentration will come of itself if Harinam is persisted in. So we are doing it. The Guru passed away. We felt like a rudderless ship in the mid-ocean. In our anxiety to find a safe guide, we read and heard of you and so desired to come here. Our desire has been fulfilled after 2 years longing. On coming here and hearing Sri Bhagwan, we understand that the Master teaches Atma Vichara, self-quest. This is the method of knowledge, Jnana Marga, whereas the other Master taught us Bhakti Marga, method of devotion. What shall we do now? Are we to give up the other method and take to this new method. If once we change, shall we not change many times more according to the masters we meet? What progress can be made by such frequent changes? Pray, remove this doubt and bless us. The master referred the gentleman to an article in the September number of Vision, a monthly journal issued by the Anandashram Kanagad. Philosophy of the Divine Name according to Saint Namdeva. The name permeates the entire universe densely. Who can tell to what depths in the nether regions and what height in the heaven it extends? The ignorant fools undergo the 84 lakhs of species of births, not knowing the essence of things. The name is immortal, forms are innumerable, but name is all that. The name itself is form, and form itself is name. There is no distinction between name and form. God became manifest and assumed name and form. Hence the name the Vedas have established. Beware, there is no mantram beyond the name. Those who say otherwise are ignorant fools. Name is Kesava himself. This is known only to the loving devotees of the Lord. The all-pervading nature of the name can only be understood when one recognizes his own I. When one's own name is not recognized, it is impossible to get all-pervading name. When one knows oneself, then one finds the name everywhere. None can realize the name by the practice of knowledge, meditation, or austerity. Surrender yourself at first at the feet of the Guru and learn to know who the I in you is. After finding the source of that I, merge your individuality in that oneness, which is self existent and devoid of all duality. It is that name that permeates the three worlds. The name is Paramatmanam itself, where there is no action arising out of Dvaita, duality. 8th January 1938, talk number 442. While explaining a stanza of his own, Sri Bhagavan observed, the sun illumines the universe, whereas the sun of Arunachala is so dazzling that the universe is obscured and an unbroken brilliance remains. But it is not realized in the present state and can be realized only if the lotus of the heart blossoms. The ordinary lotus blossoms in the light of the visible sun, whereas the subtle heart blossoms only before the sun of suns. May Arunachala make my heart blossom so that his unbroken brilliance may shine all alone. Further on, Sri Bhagavan continued, the mirror reflects objects, yet they are not real because they cannot remain apart from the mirror. Similarly, the world is said to be a reflection in the mind as it does not remain in the absence of mind. The question arises, if the universe is a reflection, there must be a real object known as the universe in order that it might be reflected in the mind. This amounts to an admission of the existence of an objective universe. Truly speaking, it is not so. Therefore, the dream illustration is set forth. The dream world has no objective existence. How then it is created? Some mental impressions should be admitted. They are called vasanas. How were the vasanas in the mind? The answer is they were subtle, just as a whole tree is contained potentially in a seed, so the world is in the mind. Then it is asked, a seed is the product of the tree which must have existed once in order that it may be reproduced. So the world also must have been there sometime. The answer is no. There must have been several incarnations to gather the impressions which are re-manifested in the present form. I must have existed before as I do now. The straight way to find an answer will be to see if the world is there. Admitting the existence of the world, I must admit a seer who is no other than myself. Let me find myself so that I may know the relation between the world and the seer. When I seek the self and abide as the self, there is no world to be seen. What is the reality? Then the seer only, and certainly not the world. Such being the truth, the man continues to argue on the basis of reality of the world. Whoever asked him to accept a brief for the world? Yoga Vasishtha clearly defines liberation as the ab- abandonment of the false and remaining as being. Talk number 443. A visitor asked, the illustration of the mirror relates to the sense of sight only. The world is perceived by the other senses also. Can the unreality be established in relation to the other senses as well? Maharshi replies, a figure on the screen in the cinema show appears to watch the whole world. What is the reality behind the subject and the object in the same show? An illusory being watches an illusory world. Devotee, but I am the witness of the show. Maharshi, certainly you are. You and the world are as real as the cinema figure and the cinema world. Talk number 444. An advocate visitor. The mind becomes aware of the world through the senses. When the senses are active, one cannot help feeling the existence of the world. How can karma yoga be of any use for pure awareness? Maharshi, the world is perceived by the mind through the senses. It is of the mind. The seer sees the mind and the senses as within the self and not apart from it. The agent, remaining unaffected by the actions, gets more purified until he realizes the self. 9th January 1938. Talk number 445. Explaining a stanza in Aksharamanammalai, Sri Bhagwan said that Mauna is the highest form of Upadesa. It signifies silence as master, disciple, and prac- practitioner. Three sannyasis who were visiting Sri Bhagwan began a discussion. Devotee, if one remained quiet, how is action to go on? Where is the place for karma yoga? Maharshi replies, let us first understand what karma is, whose karma it is, and who is the doer. Analyzing them and inquiring into their truth, one is perforce obliged to remain as the self in peace. Nevertheless, the actions will go on. Devotee, how will the actions go on if I do not act? Mercy, who asks this question? Is it the self or another? Is the self concerned with actions? Devotee, no, not the self. It is another different from the self. Mercy, so it is plain that the self is not concerned with actions and the question does not arise. Devotee, I agree. Another asked, what is the state of the realized man? Is he not acting? Mercy, the question implies that the realized man is not the questioner. Why should you concern yourself with another? Your duty is to look to yourself and not ask of others. Devotee, the scriptures hold him up as the ideal. Mercy, certainly he is the ideal. You should realize the self. Even if his state be now described, your understanding of it will be only according to your capacity. You admit that your capacity is limited. The scriptures say that the realized state admits of no limits. So then, the only way to understand his state is to realize the self and experience the state. If the question arises afterwards, the answer will be found. Another visitor asked, there is differentiation made between the sentient and the insentient chit and jada in the opening verse of Upadesa Sara. Maharshi, the Upadesa is from the standpoint of the hearer. There is no truth in the insentient jada. One whole consciousness, chit, prevails all alone. 24th January 1938, talk number 446. Mr. Grant Duff was in the hall. Sri Bhagwan was mentioning some new publications and Mahayoga among others. He also remarked that Mr. G.D., having read Satdarshan Bhasya, would be surprised at the different view of Mahayoga. Both claim to represent Sri Bhagwan's philosophy, but they differ so much that Mahayoga actually condemns the other. Someone cited the curious claim of Satdarshan Bhasya that individuality is retained even after the loss of ego. Sri Bhagwan remarked, what is to be done? The Upanishads say, Brahmavid Brahmeva Bhavati. Knower of the Brahma becomes Dharma. There are more than one Brahmavid at a time. Are all of them the same? Are they not separate? So ask some persons. They look to the bodies only. They do not look to the realization. There is no difference in the realization of the Brahmavid. That is the truth. But when the question is raised from the standpoint of the body, the reply is necessarily bound to be yes, they are different. This is the cause of confusion. Mr. G. Duff, the Buddhist, deny the world. The Hindu philosophy admits its existence but says that it is unreal. Am I right? Mercy, the difference of view is according to the difference in the angels of vision. Devotee, they say that Shakti creates the world is the knowledge of unreality due to the unveiling of Maya. Mercy, all admit Shakti's creation. What is the nature of the creatrix? It can only be in conformity with the nature of the creation. The creatrix is the same nature as her creation. Devotee, are there degrees of illusion? Maharshi, illusion is itself illusory. Illusion must be seen by one beyond it. Can such seers be subject to illusion? Can he then speak of degrees of illusions? There are scenes floating on the screen in a cinema show. Fire appears to burn buildings to ashes. Water seems to wreck vessels, but the screen on which the pictures are projected remains unscorched and dry. Why? Because the pictures are unreal and the screen is real. Again, reflections pass through a mirror, but the mirror is not in any way affected by the quality or quantity of the reflections on it. So the world is a phenomenon on the single reality which is not affected in any manner. Reality is only one. The discussion about illusion is due to the difference in the angle of vision. Change your angle of vision to one of jnana and then find the universe to be only Brahma. Being now in the world, you see the world as such. Get beyond it and this will disappear. The reality alone will shine. So I end this video here. Next video will start with talk number 447. So thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar my dear friends.